Latino Slant, Paulie here with Kamran Pasha. How are you, sir?
It's wonderful to be here, Hermano. This is, like I said, my favorite channel, and I'm always delighted to talk with you.
Well, I'm delighted to talk about this, and this being a person. This person is Iman Vellani, and you know what? We're not jumping on the bandwagon. We're happy that people are in regards to her, but
Mhm.
we've been supporting this woman the last couple of years. Who is she? Who is Iman Vellani?
So, see, Iman Vellani is a young actress. I believe she's Canadian in origin. She's a Pakistani Muslim actress. And her first break was she was cast as Ms. Marvel for the Disney Plus show, and a lot of people were very skeptical of the show and of her. She's an unknown actress, right? And we'll talk a little bit about the show and her, but and I was skeptical because I knew several people that worked on it that said the earlier versions of the show had been very difficult, had not quite worked to gel together, and they had to be heavily reshot under Bob Chapek's regime. And then the actual show premiered, and I have to say, I absolutely fell in love with her. I just fell in love with her as an actress, as a performer, and as her realization of that character, which many people have been critical of the version that's been in the comics, but all I can
Sure.
tell you is the version I'm seeing on screen is wonderful, and she's so bubbly and sincerely likable, and she also is a fan, as we're going to talk about.
Well, here's how I see her.
Please.
I see her as having this natural ability to focus in as a performer,
Hmm.
either on who her intention is,
Hmm.
or that other person. And it's done. It's done where she's just so present. She's so charming. So even if the material isn't up to par, in my opinion, right? You cannot deny her cinematic charisma. It's really,
She's
you don't
incredibly.
see these people. Yeah, you don't see these people a lot, Cameron.
Yeah.
And I'm just really excited that people are starting to figure her out.
Yeah, and I'm glad that people are getting there, because I've been an
Mhm.
early passion supporter of her, and
Yeah,
I enjoyed the show, maybe enjoyed the show less than I did, but we both agreed that her performance is stellar, and I mean, she's so present and she's so utterly believable
yeah,
as this young, slightly, geeky, nerdy person
yeah,
who's overwhelmed
yeah.
with superpowers. In many ways, the new sort of Peter Parker that captures it, and she's I just look at her and she reminded me of my niece. My niece dressed up as her version of Ms. Marvel for
I
Halloween, and
love it. I love it.
and so. But I'm very glad that the fandom, which I don't think gave the show a shot at all last year, they didn't even bother to watch it, up to my, as far as I could tell,
Yeah.
are beginning to understand that this woman is actually one of them. She's one of us, and they're beginning to
And
embrace her, which is wonderful.
right. Yeah, and to prove that listen, this is not just an Iman Vellani shill fest, even though we have no problem with that.
Yeah.
We're rather proud that we have been stuck with her since the beginning. This is from your post.
Yeah.
What is going on here? Because she was saying she's been in the publicity a lot lately with the Marvels, but she said some really cool stuff here.
Yeah, so it was my post on my Patreon page. I was
Hmm.
referring to an interview that she did yesterday or today, which came out, where she said something very pivotal because people are asking, look, the Marvels didn't really succeed,
Hmm.
and generally MCU is not doing that well. And what do you think they need to do to get it back on track? And her response, I'm going to quote her response, which is from the heart. She says, "quote I don't know if it's about just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because then what's left?" And here's the kicker. She says, I think it's just about making the audience care about their characters, right? End quote. That is the punchline. And she has said these
Wow.
kinds of things before, but now
Yeah.
she's being noticed for it.
Yeah, and that's great that you paused there. And so I wanna tell you guys right now that line is making the rounds to where even some of our friends, um, have pointed this out. The critical drinker says, and he had the directors from Batgirl, I believe, who are
Yeah.
also involved. And
Yeah, I believe they
you
did
know,
the
he
pilot.
he had him on the show. I really commend Critical Drinker for interviewing them. He said, "Damn, Iman understands storytelling better than most of the writers working for Marvel today."
Mhm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
And then our buddy Anna, that Star Wars girl, with this single statement, she proved she understands better than anyone at Disney. If only they'd listen. Cameron, Iman is
I'm
special.
so Iman is special. And, again, people have noticed it now, but this isn't the first time she's gone out on a limb. I went back on my Patreon and I found this article from June 7, 2022. So almost 16 months ago, right? 18 months ago. And it says she criticized, Marvel president Kevin Feige at that time, right?
Mhm.
Where she said that, that he needs to pay better attention to continuity in his films because she is a comic book fan, and as a fan she's like, this isn't really congruous with the comics, and I don't know that it's working. She had the guts to say that in 2022 when her show had just come out and nobody knew her, and she had the audacity to say that about Kevin Feige, the big boss. At the time, nobody noticed it. I put it on my Patreon, but the fandom was just not paying attention to her at the time. And she was questioning Kevin Feige's handling of MCU a year and a half ago, publicly.
And now it seems she is one of the very, very few bright lights in MCU happening right now.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got this comic coming out, or it's come out. She's a co-writer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think that's part of why she's also been hitting the PR
Yeah.
circuit.
Well, because she herself said before she was even cast as Ms. Marvel that she was a comic book geek. She was a Marvel's geek, right? That she was obsessed with the comics. She is one of us. She was a fan of the comics, right? And so one of her goals, her desires was, I'd love to actually write a Ms. Marvel comic, right? And I know a lot of people have critiqued those comics in the past. A lot of them felt that they went into an extreme political direction, which the show didn't go in. And frankly, I don't think Iman could have sold it had they tried to make her some kind of like revolutionary leftist Pakistani chick. That the actress can't sell that. She's too normal and likable to sell it. So thankfully they didn't go in that direction. And so she has a new comic that's coming out. It's the Ms. Marvel New Mutant. So she's now a mutant, which is we're going to talk a little bit
That's
about.
right.
Yeah, she's transitioned over from Inhuman to Mutant. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because I've heard some interesting things from some news sources at Marvel about what that might mean.
Okay.
But the comic has been co-written by her, Iman Vellani. Iman Vellani. I'm speaking very quickly.
Yeah.
And so Iman and a very good friend of mine and one of my mentees, Sabir Pirzada. So Sabir Pirzada was a writer on Ms. Marvel. And he's really one of the up-and-coming writers at Marvel altogether. And he's been someone I've been mentoring for 6 or 7 years. He's a brilliant young man, very good writer, very good person. He approached me years ago when he wasn't even in LA. He, through a mutual friend of the family, he reached out and said, I'm thinking of coming to LA and becoming a screenwriter. And I took him out to dinner when he just visiting LA, and I gave him all this advice. And then several years later, I discovered he had moved to LA, listened to all my advice, was having a career, and they ended up becoming a staff writer on my show, Roswell, New Mexico, where I was the co-executive producer on that, right? So I got to work with him, and I got to see how brilliant he is. This is the guy. So this guy that's writing the comic with her, he was the guy that would sit quietly in the room. Initially, we didn't know anything about him. He's like the quiet guy, staff writers, lowest level position, so generally people ignore them. He just sat there quietly in the room, and we never heard much from him. And then we'd be stuck on a story problem that nobody could solve. And we're like, that doesn't work, that doesn't work, that doesn't work. And then suddenly Sabir would pop up and say, well, what about this? And it would be right. He would have solved it instantly, right? And he'd go back to being quiet again. And then the moment there was another problem, he pops up with a solution, then goes back to being quiet. This guy is actually a genius. We were all shocked. We're like, every time Sabir would start speaking in the room, we're like, okay, everyone start up. This guy's got the answer. What is his answer? This guy was the lowest rung of the show. And the moment he spoke, everyone listened to him. And now he's a very up and coming writer over at Marvel in general. I think he's developing his own series there, and he's co-wrote this. And so they're doing a signing. So if anyone's able to come, they're doing a signing, I believe, on Wednesday from 5 to 8 p.m. in North Hollywood at the Collector's Paradise. So if anyone wants to come and meet Iman Vellani and my friend Sabir Pirzada, they'll be signing comics there. This new comic she's released.
It seems, Cameron, that with so many problems plaguing MCU, that they really need to take care of Iman at all cost.
Yes.
This is, for me, the one shining star
Mhm.
in the last few years, and that's the Sung-Chis, the Wakandas, the Namors. Forgettable. They're forgettable for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
As much as that pains me to say, I'm not going to be biased here. It's like, I didn't like that iteration of Namor, and but that's a whole other different argument.
Yeah.
Here, what they have on their hands is someone as special as Iman, is something we haven't seen since Chadwick, since
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. Then let's
That's
just
right.
be real. Let's just
Yeah,
be real.
she has that spark. She has the star spark.
She's got the stars. That's what it's called? Okay, so we're on the same boat here, guys. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you are subscribed and subscribe to Cameron's Patreon. One last thing here: Marvel Zombies just
Yeah.
confirmed that she completed voice work. That Miss Marvel will be one of the main characters as kind of the center of the show, and Kamala is going to interact with some really cool people.
So
I think it's smart.
it's right. Well, again, a lot of people weren't that happy with the Marvels movie, but everyone that I spoke with that wasn't happy with the movie said, well, but Iman Vellani was great. Ms. Marvel, can we have just a movie about her, right? Her and her
Right.
family was what we
Yep.
cared about in Marvel's thing, right?
The only thing we
the
care.
whole cast
Yeah.
is wonderful in Ms. Marvel, right?
I
They're just
mean,
incredibly
yeah,
lovable
I
cast.
think, yeah, and I don't think we've had a chance to talk about it in the video, but
Yeah.
I just could not stand the movie, just as far as like the incohesion of the whole stories and all that stuff. That she was the one shining light, but even then, it was really hard for her because the written material was just so
Correct.
bad.
Yeah, I mean, she's got
Compared
to
to the
sell.
TV show.
She's got to sell what
Compared
they
to the
write.
TV show, that
Yeah.
but listen, you're right. Everything that she does is magic so far. So I say that they could grow this character and this actor into something very, very special, because what I'm seeing here too is that she has a real fan base behind her.
She does. She does. And these aren't people that were necessarily fans of the comic. These are just people that are falling in love with her. Right? I mean, I didn't care about the comic, but I mean, it's her that I will follow this woman's career and support her. Hopefully, one day I can cast her in something, right? Because I'm impressed with her as a professional artist, right? And as an intelligent fan who is unafraid to say what the fans are thinking, right? Because she's of that younger generation that isn't yet bought into the system. She's there to revolutionize the system, as we all were in our early 20s. And this is exactly what we need right now, right? So I just want to make one last thing about a bridge of some information that came to me today.
Yeah.
So, I've got some sources that I've developed at other parts of, in Lucasfilm and other places that I've come to trust over the past year or so. The new source came to me today. I have vetted who they are, so I know that they are legitimately working inside of Marvel, right? Whether they're providing me trustworthy information, I don't know yet, because we'll have to see. But I will share this, right? So take this with a grain of salt. New source who I've not yet been proven about their accuracy, but they came to me today through a trusted friend, and the source, well, code name, I love code names, codename Phoenix. So they said that Marvel is developing a kids Avengers movie and is planning to fold the X-Men into the MCU, eventually going to an X-Men versus Avengers film. And it appears that Iman Vellani, Miss Marvel, is the bridge to that, because that character is now being shown to go from Inhuman to mutant. And the new comic book is she's the new mutant, right? So she's now entering the X-Men territory. So she seems to be the transitional phase to bring the X-Men in.
So this source is saying that it's in fact in development as a TV show or as a trilogy of movies?
I'll go back to my notes here, right? I put it on my Patreon, but no, the Kids Avengers, the Kid Avengers project is in development as a feature film,
right?
And then they're going to, I guess, within the TV series, they're going to start bringing the X-Men into the MCU, leading to an X-Men versus Avengers film. So I think the logical procedure would be first introduce these new Avengers, these Kids Avengers, whatever, and then connect them with the X-Men. Apparently, they're going back to the characters from the 1995 sequence, right? So
nice.
some of you, some of you didn't like some of the X-Men that happened in the 2000s, but they're going back to the traditional characters, right? So but right now the bridge, because whether one likes where the MCU has gone or where Mr. Feige is taking it, he does bridge and connect his projects, right? And so the bridge appears to be Iman Vellani, who is now going from Inhuman to Mutant, allowing us to bring the X-Men in. So it appears that she's going to be the catalyst. And if there's anyone to bridge to the future of the MCU, it's this woman.
There you go, guys. Got some breaking news. You can also catch it on Cameron's Patreon. And I would just hope, Marvel, that you have the right writing and directing team to support Iman in these new ideas. Also, too, if you need help, hire this man. That's just I mean,
at the very least, keep giving my friend Sabir. Like, Sabir should have probably written the Marvel's feature film, right?
Ooh,
he would have done it better, right?
Yeah,
and
it sounds like it's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, he's going to get those opportunities, especially because Iman really sees him as a professional partner in some ways, the fellow Pakistani fellow. Yeah, so those two are a team. God bless them. Let them rise together. Because with Sabir's writing skills, MCU is going to be okay. It's going to be in really good shape with this guy's skills.
Well, thank you so much, Cameron. Everyone else watching this video, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to both our my channel and Cameron's Patreon. Take care, everyone. Wherever you're at, keep your slam fuerte. Gracias.